It's the most magical time of the year, and I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about the NFL season. So make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Get the most live NFL games all in one place. Right now, you can save $85 when you bundle NFL Sunday Ticket with YouTube TV. Sign up today at youtubetv.com/Spotify. Device and content restrictions apply. Discount applied to first 4 months of YouTube TV, then $72.99 a month. Ends August 29th. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. No refunds.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome into the Birds of the Round Table. The Eagles are undefeated in the preseason, so we won't be too terribly excited about that, but we're here to talk about it. We're going to break it down. I am your host, Shane Haff. You can give me a follow on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL. Joined, as always, by the best roundtable crew that's out there. We'll start it off with David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. David, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great, man. At the risk of sounding silly, did we always have the fire burning under our little Birds of the Round Table emblem in the intro? That's really cool. I guess I've never paid attention, so shame on me.
Welcome
really
to season
cool.
2, David. Glad to have you with us watching the intro video now. That's great stuff.
I'm getting hair and makeup during the intro normally.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, we're also joined by Ryan Reese. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Don't give him a hard time if he yawns too much tonight. Apparently, he's tired. Ryan, how you doing, man?
I love it. I yawned one time, and somebody else whose name will go unnamed yawned about 8 times. So, listen, I'm always up for this show. I think last week I was a little under the weather, but I'm healthy, ready to go, and ready to talk some last game of the preseason Birds.
All right. Also joined, as always, by Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how you doing tonight?
Good, man. It's like my 4th show in like 2 nights. Let's get it.
Let's get into it then. We're going to start off. If you guys have been longtime listeners of the show, we've got kind of a familiar format in the season. We're going to talk about the last game. We'll preview the next game. I've let the guys off the hook tonight. I'm not going to make them give score predictions for a Week 3 preseason game. But we're going to get through the rest of it. So let's start with a big picture takeaway. Can be offense, can be defense, can be coaching, can be anything you want. Dibes, give me your one big picture takeaway from the Week 2 preseason game.
I think this one's a no-brainer. I mean, I'm probably going to steal Ryan's thunder, but heading into the preseason and training camp, my biggest concern was the linebacking position. It's still not perfect. It started out slow, but my goodness, I think roles are being defined with this linebacking group. You got Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, Devin White. I mean, might the Eagles have an adequate linebacker group? What world is this? Is this real life? That's the biggest takeaway is it's not going to kill them every single week like it has in recent years. There's some guys that are really starting to put some heat on Devin White and Zach Bond, whether it's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. last week, this week it was Nakobe Dean. Just a lot of positivity with the Eagles linebackers. And I still don't trust some of them in coverage, but overall, you have to be excited for what we saw these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll be honest. My biggest concern on the defense is not linebacker now. I'm more concerned about edge rusher now, which is crazy, especially considering, how we felt and talked about linebacker. And maybe that'll just come across as stupid optimism 4 weeks from now when we're whining about the linebackers again. You never can tell. but it has been encouraging for sure. Ryan, what was your big picture takeaway from the Week 2 preseason?
I think just to kind of almost piggyback off what Dive said is I feel a lot better about this defense as a whole. And, again, I think whether it's from the linebackers playing well above what I think we all kind of expected, whether it's somebody like a Jalix Hunt who's seems to be a lot further along than I think we all could have anticipated, from a Jomo kind of really stepping up and having himself a really good game. And I think I just overall feel a lot better about the defense. We lost Fletcher Cox, we lost Hassan Reddick. We didn't have any linebackers, and now I feel good. I honestly feel like this defense will not be crippling, and we could be kind of middle of the range defense, and the offense can do its thing. And honestly, if you're playing with a 14-point lead at halftime, I'm pretty sure the defense can do its job. I feel good.
Shane, you're muted.
I did it. I muted it. I muted it to cough, and I forgot to unmute it. A lot of positivity about the defense, which is just kind of remarkable when you think about where we were 9 months ago with this defense. So, hopefully it survives the Week 1 trip to Brazil. We'll have to wait and see on that. David, what was your big picture takeaway from the Week 2 game?
I'm going to go to the other side of the ball, and that is that the Eagles have a starting right guard. Competition, the positional competitions normally lead to long camp battles, but the Stoutland O-line competitions are normally short and sweet. Mailata beat out Dillard without much problems. Juergens beat out Steen last season without it ever appearing to be a competition. And if it was not clear that Becton was the starting right guard when he didn't dress at the start of the game, it was definitely clear after Steen got himself injured again with that ankle. So to me, the biggest takeaway was the Eagles O-line is set. Becton is your starting right guard.
All right, let's go to a couple of comments here. We've got a comment coming in on Facebook from Ryan. Asks, are the Eagles seriously going to try to start Zach Bond? Hopefully only a rotation guy. That's it. Why always new starters or elevating backup special team guys or even practice squad guys with this team? I will say Zach Bond was dreadful in the Week 1 preseason. I thought he had some really good plays in Week 2. And I've said, I hope Nakobe Dean or Jeremiah Trotter Jr. wins that job, but I hope they do it on their own merit, not because Zach Bond's playing bad. And I thought Bond looked good in some moments in Week 2. So, but I mean, you get into that cycle because you can't value every position a lot, and the Eagles clearly don't value linebacker as much as a lot of other positions. So I think that's how you get there. And if you luck into a third round and Trotter, a fifth round pick being your linebacker tandem for a couple of years, that's playing with house money. So that's my take on that. Anybody else have anything they want to chime in there?
Yeah, I think midway through the season, we're going to see all of those linebackers you just mentioned kind of get in that rotation. Yes, Bond is going to be the guy starting, but the hope is that Dean chips away at some snaps, and that Trot eventually chips away at some snaps, and you really see the changing of the kind of the guard and having the young kids out there quite a bit, and then hopefully by midseason you have 4 linebackers that you really can rely upon to play. So that's the goal here, and Bond is, again, we have high hopes for Bond, but at worst, he's a bridge to the young kids. And at best, he's a guy who, as David has predicted, is going to get, over 5.5 sacks, over 5 sacks? Either way, I think we're in good hands.
Now you're muted. Your turn. Tag, you're it.
Let's go.
I think it's going to be a fluid, just like I said weeks prior. Like, it's going to be a fluid situation all year. It's going to be depending on matchups, just like the cornerback position between Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers. I think it's just going to be depending on matchups. And I think it's all positive. Like this is a good situation to have if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. It's about getting the best players on the football field, and it's a process. I'm excited to see what this defense could look like in a couple of months from now. I know I'm like going ahead from now, but that's what you're hoping. You're hoping this defense gels as the season progresses, and we've got guys like Cooper and Trotter Jr. out there more and more, and more positive signs.
If I could add to the observations of overall, I would say also the Eagles have two competent coordinators at both offense and defense, and it is showing up even in the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into side-specific takeaways. Dibes, I'll throw to you first here. You talked defense already. Give me an offensive takeaway.
I mean, offensive takeaway has to be, let me put his video up because, sorry, Ryan, I know you're a pit boy, but Tanner McKee was the ticket last week. 15 of 19, 140 yards. Showed a lot of poise on a lot of throws. Some of those were straight up dimes, as you saw there, the ones to the sidelines. The back shoulder throw he threw was awesome as well. I think the biggest difference we're seeing between Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee is night and day. Tanner McKee is a way better deep ball thrower. He's got a lot more poise. He knows his limitations. He's not dancing around the pocket. He's hitting guys with anticipation. He's got a much better arm. Kenny Pickett looks like a deer in headlights with the pressure coming at him. And I've just been blown away by Tanner McKee. He's without a doubt a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. I'm sorry, Ryan. He won it last preseason. He won it in week 1 of the preseason. He won it again last week. For me, Tanner McKee is the ticket. He was the headliner, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here. I honestly don't even know if I want him to play this week because there were some comments on our channel about from other teams wanting to trade for him.
I want him to play. This game there has got to be something to make week 3 preseason watchable. I swear, if I have to watch Ian Book play 4 quarters of a preseason game,
I'll say Will Grier looked better than Kenny Pickett. It's just, I mean, Kenny Pickett through 2 preseason games per PFF has the best grade of all offensive players. Kenny Pickett is their 5th worst graded offensive player. Among 63 NFL quarterbacks with at least 9 dropbacks, McKee ranks 8th best in the NFL. Stock way up, Tanner McKee, baby.
All right, Ryan, you're rolling your eyes. I'll give you the floor next here. Give us your offensive takeaway. It doesn't have to be related to the quarterbacks.
Yeah, listen, I'm not even gonna touch it because it's too easy. You know what? My takeaway is that the 3rd wide receiver is not on this roster. The wide receivers after Brown and after Smith are hot garbage. I don't want to see a single one of them out there. You know, again, Johnny Wilson got a little hurt, so we might have something there. But again, he shouldn't be your wide receiver 3. Britton Covey, real nice story. I'm sure he's a nice gentleman, but go return kicks. Don't ever line up next to the likes of Brown. It's just almost disrespectful. And Paris Campbell keeps getting injured, can't show what he's got. But even if he is healthy, I still would love something better. And Anaya Smith obviously can't, figure out his way out of a paper bag. And John Ross is just Quez Watkins, just slightly faster. So, again, we have nothing. We need to find something. Hopefully Howie has a trick up his sleeve.
All right. David, you talked offense already, but do you have another offensive takeaway you want to lay on us?
That they might have a tight end on the roster who could actually be productive on the offense if Goddard misses 4 games like he usually does with E.J. Jenkins. He's a former wide receiver, but, man, he's got some serious ball skills. He catches everything. I'm pretty impressed with him. I don't know much about his blocking, which will determine greatly if he can see how much he sees the field. And to tag on to Ryan there, the only hope I can tell you as far as wide receiver 3 is that wide receiver 3 is probably receiver option 4 or 5 as far as the Eagles roster tree goes there. So the more important thing is that they need somebody who could fill in if, 1A or 1B there, AJ or Smitty got hurt. But yeah, I'm sure they're looking. They could maybe flip and, Eli Ricks or something for a wide receiver, somebody who could step into those shoes.
So just to piggyback off of that, so say if Brown or Smith misses time, who the hell are we going to put in there?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't have
anybody.
But I don't know what team does have somebody if an AJ Brown or Smitty goes down.
You're right, but again,
Eli Ricks for Darius Slayton. Who says no?
Yeah, no one.
They both say no.
Eli Ricks might say no, but I don't think he gets a vote.
No.
So, okay, well, let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. And David, I'll throw it to you here first, because you went offense with your big picture. What was the takeaway you had watching the defense in this one?
I hate to keep doing this to Ryan, but it was the linebackers. I mean, it was just super impressive. Dean just looks really good. Trotter is developing. You can see the potential. He reads plays as fast as anybody else on the field. Devin White, he's so-so in the games, but he's been really, really good in practice. Bond looks competent. I mean, I've been saying it all summer, not that it's a high bar, but I think this is the best linebacking core the Eagles have had since maybe 2017. I mean, it's been a long time. I think they have a lot of potential. Of course, they got to do it in games, but I've been really impressed with what they have.
All right, Ryan, I'll throw it to you here so you can play off of David's linebacker comments if you so choose. But give me another defensive takeaway.
Oh man, that's a good one. No, I think my defensive takeaway is that we have a really, really good problem in that cornerback room. There was a report that just came out, and it was again probably stemming from just kind of common sense and some previous things that Slay is on the market. Well, he's not, but again, you have a great battle in Rodgers and Ringo. You have a rookie in Q who's playing in the slot. You have a finally healthy Coop DeJean. You have Josh Joe Ricks. I could name about 100 different corners they have, and again, we're gonna have to be getting rid of a few of them. But again, I think the beauty of that CB2 spot is, again, if you are maybe playing, somebody that might be a good matchup for Rodgers, you could play Rodgers, or if it's something that maybe a wide receiver that Ringo might be more apt to cover, you can play him, and vice versa. If you're one struggling at halftime, you could switch to the other. It is finally a great problem that we have, and I'm loving it. I absolutely love our cornerback room for the first time up and down. And I honestly can't remember the last time I said that.
Yeah, it does feel. Again, it just feels wild to be so effusive in our praise for a defense that was just historically awful.
So bad, but
9 months ago.
They focused on it so damn much. I mean,
what were they, 29th defensively against the pass last year? It was really bad.
Yeah, the third down defense. I don't have the splits in front of me, but I
remember it was horrible.
Their third down splits were terrible. Dives, give me your defensive takeaway. We've talked linebackers. We've talked secondary. Are you going to the trenches? You got something else up your sleeve?
I always go to the trenches, man. That's my thing. I gotta say, just to piggyback off of Ryan though, like Ringo probably looks like their best press corner. Are we good with that? Like he's looked
unquestionably.
Really he's looked really good there. Been super impressed. But how about a guy that's making $17 million this year? I thought Bryce Huff looked really solid last week. He only played 10 snaps, but he ranked tied for second on the team in total tackles. And I thought he looked good dropping the coverage. He made a tackle on the Patriots wide receiver on that screen. He looked solid defending the run. And he had a really good joint practice earlier during the week. So you look at Bryce Huff, he's a guy that was basically non-existent through the first couple of weeks of training camp, and just a vital component to this Eagles' success in 2024. So for me, it's Bryce Huff showing signs of life. Hopefully this is moving him in the right direction.
Yeah, that play he made on the screen pass was really good, because if he doesn't read that out and retrace for the tackle, it's at least like a 15 to 20 yard gain, because the only guy unaccounted for is the safety 20 yards off the ball. And I mean, you make that guy miss, it's touchdown. So that was a really big play for him. I liked what I saw from him in the run game. He did get put on the ground by a tight end on one play, but other than that, I thought he looked good. I wish we got to see him rush the passer a little more, but that'll come with time. So
all of the edge rushers should look a lot better when they're not going against Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson in practice every week. I mean, it's very hard. They cancel everybody out, man. It's really tough to shine in practice when that's your foe every single down on one-on-ones.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So there you guys have it. Those are our big picture takeaways, offensive and defensive takeaways. We're going to go to our player of the games now. You guys drop in the comments here, those of you watching live on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. Let us know who you thought the player of the game was. Ryan, I'll give you first crack at this. Who is your Eagles player of the game? No repeats, by the way. Nobody can take whoever Ryan picks.
Well, listen, since you guys, both of you sniped me on my linebackers, I'm going to take my boy, Nakobe Dean, for the simple fact of the matter is I am just overwhelmed with happiness that this guy is finally putting together a great camp, and we're seeing the Dean that we thought we were getting when he came out of Georgia. And hopefully he's past whatever injuries, and, again, he can continue to kind of ramp himself up and really get himself out there and get involved in some sort of rotation there to get out onto the field. So I'm really happy for Nakobe Dean. And honestly, I just thought, he had a great game, and he's had a great couple of weeks in practice too. So hopefully he keeps that up.
All right. Nakobe Dean, great pick. He was the number 2 guy that I had listed for player of the game. David, I'll throw it to you next. Give me your Eagles player of the game.
I went with Joseph Nagata. He had 5 receptions on 5 targets for 88 yards. He showed off his physical game. He kind of gave everyone a glimpse of what made him look so good at Clemson. I loved seeing how fired up A.J. Brown was on the sideline after Nagata hauled in that contested catch, which showed, A.J.'s leadership. I mean, I think it's a tough job for him to make the final 53-man roster, but I think he had a phenomenal game and definitely put himself in position to beat out those like John Ross and Paris Campbell if they went with 6 wide receivers, which I doubt. But if they did, I think he positioned himself very, very nicely.
All right. We got a comment here from Daniel Lee on YouTube, says Tristan McCollum. Tristan McCollum had some good moments too. Notably that screen pass that Nakobe Dean made a tackle on, that was made possible by Tristan McCollum flying downfield and forcing that in. But
he had a nice PBU too. Yeah, he had a good game. 3 tackles, pass breakup. He looked good. It'll be hard to keep him off the roster. They can maybe pup Sidney Brown to kind of fit him on there.
Okay, Dibes, who was your player of the game? Cannot be Nakobe Dean or Joseph Ngata.
I'm going to give you the layup, Shane. As a guy that we haven't really talked about tonight, but I think he's a guy that, if we're talking like player of the game, like biggest winner, he's a guy that I didn't know if he was going to make the final 53, and he's locked that in. Give me Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox, 15 coverage snaps, 11 yards allowed. He had 1 interception, a 33 passer rating allowed. You look how bad James Bradbury looked. Avonte Maddox, that, jumping that one pass, I think it was to Austin Hooper in the end zone there. Like, he's looked really good. And in a Vic Fangio defense where cornerback and safety is interchangeable, like, he looks like a big piece of this rotation. Give me Avonte.
Yeah, that's a great pick. You get an interception in a game, you should probably be mentioned. I gave it to Ryan first because I wanted to give him the opportunity to do the right thing and pick Tanner McKee for player of the game.
Never.
And he didn't do it.
Never see that from me.
And now, so it kills me that I have to be the one to do it now, and I don't get to talk about my boy Keely Ringo. But, I'll go Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee made an unwatchable first half. It turned into a very watchable second half, and it was fun to watch. when I make an all 22 pass game review video from a preseason game, it means I think it was a pretty interesting performance. And go check that out if you haven't. It's on my YouTube and Twitter, but I clipped up 12 of his throws and put together a video. And I'll do those every week in the regular season, hopefully for Jalen Hurts.
Wait, yeah, I was going to say, you're going to be doing it for McKee? Or?
Let's hope not.
No, hopefully him in street clothes looking good over here. And him
in this clip, as it pans to the sideline, you'll see McKee holding a clipboard. And,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Tanner McKee is a good performance. It was fun to watch, so I'll give it to him. And that leaves out Keely Ringo, who should also get a gold star.
Yeah, he should.
Patrick Johnson too. He had his nice pressures coming off the edge, man. He looked really good in that game.
He's going to be hard to cut. That's for sure.
I don't think he's going to be cut. Yeah, he's been impressive all camp, man.
I felt so bad for him on the one where he got through and he ends up wrapped around I think it was Jacoby Brissett at that point. It might have been Drake May. Wrapped around to one of his legs and he couldn't get him down and he ends up throwing the ball away. It actually almost got picked, but that's got to be so frustrating as an edge rusher. Like, you beat your guy, you're wrapped around his legs, and he manages to get the ball out. It's obnoxious. It should still count as a sack. But
and before we move on, James Bradbury, is there anybody on this panel who thinks he's going to make the 53-man roster?
Jesus. I have
thinks he's going to make it, or would put him on it myself?
Either. Do you think? I mean, do you really think he's going to make it?
I think there's a chance, but I just
can't
fight the bullet,
that money.
man.
With that money and his veteran, status, yeah, absolutely think there's a chance.
I think he's gone. I that's just my guess, but
he should be. Yeah. But I could see a potential scenario where he makes it, but I hope not.
He's played 3 snaps on the special teams.
Yeah. He struggled as bad as safety the last couple of weeks as he did at corner last year, and that's saying a lot. He's looked really rough, man.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn the page and preview this game on Saturday at 1 o'clock. The Eagles finally play. It's their home opener, guys. Are we excited? Home opener at Lincoln Financial Field, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. David, this will be a lot easier in the regular season, but give me an offensive matchup to watch in this one.
Kenny Pickett versus the Vikings defense, man, because he's got to show something. And if he's going to show anything, the Vikings are the perfect team to show it to, because they might actually have some interest in him. So he could be playing for a trade to elevate his own playing time. I mean, he's got to do something to silence all of his doubters, man, because he's looked really, really bad. This is his last opportunity to show something, to put something decent on tape.
All right. Yeah, the QB battle, if there is one, will be interesting to watch. What I'm going to hate is if they don't even play Pickett in this game and it's just McKee for a quarter and Ian Book for 3 quarters. I'm going to lose my mind, but I hope that doesn't happen. Ryan, what's your offensive matchup to watch?
Is Ian Book still is he even alive?
No, he's Will Greer.
I was going to say Will Greer.
Ian Book is around still, isn't he?
No.
I think that was last year.
Have you seen Ian Book on this team this year?
Well, no, but I figured they were rolling him out the 3rd preseason game. Is he really not on the roster?
Well, no,
I could have
but
sworn
maybe
he was.
No, it's Will Greer is the 4th quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I can watch Will Greer because he's a Big 12 guy. So.
Oh my God.
Where is Ian? Hey Siri, where is Ian Book? He's in Kansas City. The Chiefs are just collecting Eagles quarterbacks. You got Carson Wentz, you got Ian Book. Next thing you know, Kenny Pickett's going to be a Kansas City Chief.
Man, they are obsessed with us. First Andy Reid, now all that.
Mike Kafka was over there for a while. They're just taking them all, man.
They stole Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Ryan, what's your offensive matchup to watch?
Honestly, I really want to see Will Shipley get a good amount of playing time versus that Vikings front 7. I kind of want to see again him do all the things that he should do as far as running the ball, pass blocking. I want to see if he's got a shot to maybe eventually be that RB2 down the line even this year. To supplant Kenny G, which would be great. But, that's what I'm going to be looking at offensively anyway.
I wonder how Will Shipley feels about becoming a slot receiver.
I hope he likes it.
Because I hear the Eagles need a wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Dibes, what's your offensive matchup to watch?
For sure. I live in the trenches. I want to see just continued growth from this interior offensive line. And the matchup I'm looking at is the Eagles interior offensive line by a dude named Taki Taimani. Does anybody have any idea who that is? He's an undrafted free agent. He is kind of the guy. He's a defensive tackle. He's kind of a guy that we were hoping Gabe Hall might kind of progress into. Here's some quick plays of Taki. There he is.
We all just have quick plays of Taki.
Taki, baby. They're also delicious too. But anyway, he had 2 pressures. He played 37 snaps last week. I'm sorry. Multiple run stops. Again, an unknown back at Oregon, and he's a guy that's probably going to play a lot in this 3rd preseason game, trying to get that final defensive tackle spot for the Minnesota Vikings. So get to know Taki this weekend.
All right. For me, I went with the battle for running back 4. If the Eagles even keep one. I don't know if the Eagles are going to keep one, but you've got your top 3 locked in, and there's been some guys that have shown in some small moments have shown some things. I don't think the Eagles will end up keeping a 4th running back, but you're not going to see Saquon. I doubt you see Kenny Gainwell. And I don't think they're going to trot Will Shipley out there to play an entire game. So I'm interested to see what happens behind him. I think it's probably for a practice squad spot, not a roster spot, but that's one of the things I'll be watching since Dibes already said interior O-line. So
shout out to Trevor Keegan, who's played generally pretty well. So,
yeah.
I'm good.
I think he also got hurt in practice today.
Did he really? I didn't see that.
I think I saw that he limped off in practice, so I don't know. I don't know anything else though. Okay, let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Remember, drop some comments down here if you got questions or things you want us to touch on. But let's talk defensive matchups to watch. We'll throw it in reverse order this time. Dibes, lead us off.
All right, I am watching the Eagles linebackers versus a running back named Kenny Nwangwu. Kenny Nwangwu. We're good. This is a deep cut. He's a guy that week 1, 5 carries for 52 yards, a touchdown, and 2 receptions. Last week, 7 for 45, and through 2 preseason games, 12 carries, 97 yards, 8.1 yards per carry. So he's been a guy that's mostly been a kick returner. He's got a lot of speed, and he could probably put pressure on this Eagles linebacker group. So give me Kenny Nwangwu versus the Eagles linebackers as a deep cut for Saturday.
Tacos and Wahos. All right.
Yeah. Whatever. Clearly somebody came to this show hungry.
Always hungry.
All right. Well, I don't remember the order last time, but I'm going to throw it to Ryan next because that feels right. So, Ryan, give me another defensive matchup to watch.
It wasn't, but I'll take it nonetheless. I want to see more out of Jalix Hunt, man. I really got a taste of him last week, and man, I really want to see what this dude can do. And honestly, he just impressed me, out there. And again, I think we all kind of thought this was going to be a very slow, bring along for this guy, and he's already showing that his athleticism is going to take him far. So, I want to see him going up against that offensive line over there at Minnesota, and see what damage he can do, whether or not he can get to whatever awful Vikings quarterback they have over there.
All right, David, throw it to you now. Give me a defensive matchup you're keeping an eye on.
As far as matchup goes, it'd be Moro Ajoma. I am very interested to watch more of him play this week. But more importantly, it's just the end of the roster, these fringe guys who are battling for that 53rd spot, 52nd spot, like Tristan McCullum, like PJ Mustipher. I want to see which of these types of guys who it's their final chance, before cutdown day to actually make the roster, put their stamp on the team and see what kind of value they can bring. So I'm more interested in seeing that than anything else. I don't want to see Avonte Maddox take a snap. I don't want to see any of the starters. I don't want to see anybody who could possibly get injured and derail the season before it starts.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dibes.
Can I add one more?
Yes.
Awesome. Another deep another deep cut. Eagles pass rush versus Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall is that QB3 for the Minnesota Vikings. He's a guy that was very much on the bubble, maybe not even making the roster, but now with the injury to JJ McCarthy, and there's a chance that he could actually get on this team. He had a really good game week 2 of the preseason. So, keep an eye out for Jaren Hall as a quarterback for the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on Tristan McCollum. He's a guy that I think has played well enough to make this roster. I think he might get caught in the log jam at defensive back, but I'd like to see another strong outing from him. So Daniel called it 20 minutes ago talking about player of the game, but I'm echoing this comment now. It's going to be Tristan McCollum for me. He's a guy that I really am going to be watching. Also, I'm going to be watching a great battle to watch is Nolan Smith versus executing a counter move. I would love to see that at some point, just like try and throw a counter move. You're in the preseason against third string tackles. Quit trying to run around them. Let's just try an inside spin. Let's try a swim move.
I want to see him get his third sack in a row in the third quarter. I'm really in need of that. But.
Yeah. People that have just like watched the box score, hey, he's got 2 sacks, but it's like, the first one he was unblocked until he was already by a tackle because it was a strange alignment, and the second one he won inside because the running back knocked him inside of the tackle. I just want to see the guy throw a counter move. He's got a high motor. He's a good edge setter. He's got all the athleticism in the world. I need to see him trying to throw moves in the preseason, so I would like to see that too. That one's not a deep cut, but I'd love to see it nevertheless. So, all right, well, that's going to do it. Like I said up front, we're not going to make you guys do score predictions tonight because who the heck knows who's even going to play. It's hard to make a score prediction when you don't know if Will Greer or Kenny
Ian Book might come out of nowhere.
Yeah, you don't know if they're going to trade for Ian Book. You don't know. You just don't even know. So it's hard to make that score prediction. But that's going to wrap it up.
Run all over the Eagles. You just have no idea.
Yeah.
Tacos, Takis, whatever.
Nachos.
Something.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Birds of the Round Table. Let's throw it around the horn here for final thoughts, plugs. Dibes, you're up first. What do you got going on?
Oh my gosh. Okay. This past Sunday, we did our top 10 tight ends. We talked week 0 of college football, gushed about Patrick Payton. Go check that out. Last night, we did Party on Broad, more Eagles versus Patriots review. And then tomorrow, I will be joining a Commanders podcast, Bleeding Burgundy and Gold, talking Eagles versus Commanders. And I'm actually low-key excited about the Commanders, and I think they could win like 8 games this year. So that'll be fun. So I'll be follow me on X at Mr. Crockpot. I'll be retweeting that. So be on the lookout for that.
All right. Be sure you're following Dibes. Ryan, what do you got going on?
As Dibes mentioned, we did the tight end preview. We did week 0 preview. Mondays, normally at 6 o'clock, football smack talk show, and then 9 o'clock Party on Broad. Obviously, you're now watching the greatest Eagles show out there. 8 o'clock every Tuesday. Don't forget, right after this, whenever it is, Armchair Scouts starts up. We'll be talking more week 0. And then, you can kind of find me here and there throughout Edge of Philly Sports, Eagles Pin Pull. I'm all over the place, baby.
All right. David, what do you got going on?
I just released a story in regards to how important Big Play Slay's mentorship is playing out to the young cornerbacks and how long it'll probably have very long-lasting effects down the road as well. just learning from him. Don't believe that story that came out earlier about the Eagles having interest in trading him. I think they would take on a $33 million dead cap hit if they did such. So if you don't think they're willing to get rid of Bradbury for 3.9, I'm pretty sure Slay was 33 million. So you can follow everything I do at PHL Eagle News, listen to everything on the Eagles Pinpool Network, and that's all I have.
All right.
Also, check out what David writes because he's such a great
Thanks.
writer. Make sure you go check out all the amazing stuff he writes. He's too freaking modest. But
Yeah, agreed. You need to be following him and read all of his articles.
PhillyCoverCorner.com.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I have an episode of On the Shane Page that came out today. It hit the podcast platforms. Johnny and I went through, did our film review. We dove in depth on guys like Bryce Huff, Keely Ringo, Nakobe Dean. We had an Eagles concept of the week that we talked through Dart. So if you want to know what Dart is, you can go check that out. But like I think it was Ryan said, we're about to go record the inaugural episode of the Armchair Scouts after this show. That'll air on the Eagle Pinpool Network later this week. So be sure you're subscribed there. 5-star ratings and reviews, really appreciated. And we hope you guys are back here next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We're going to be breaking down the Week 3 preseason game. I think it's cut down day, David said, so we might be reacting to the final roster as well. We may or may not get David in the host chair. That the negotiations are still ongoing, but
We've only been negotiating for 2 years.
I might as well get it over with. I might as well just get it over with. Next week will be it. I'll just do it, and I'm done.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, make sure you are following all of these guys. He is at PHL Eagle News. Dibes is at Mr. Crockpot. Ryan is at Philly Sports PSA. I am at Shane Half NFL, and we will catch you guys next week for another episode of Birds of the Round Table. Go Birds.